Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tuesday, October 13th Redevelopment Commission meeting. I will call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, if you would note that all are present. Thank you much. And first order of business is, as usual, the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, commission members, public, we have quite a packed agenda tonight, so we will make sure to roll through as efficiently as possible. First item under old business. I know we have a small update. First is going to be the approval of the minutes. So has everyone gotten a copy of their minutes? I would entertain a motion.
So moved, approved, and submitted.
I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. And with that, we'll get to the small update. Madam Clerk brought to our attention the contract for 125 South Meridian Street. The demolition project has a small typographical issue that we're going to correct here, hopefully. If you could kind of go over that real quick.
So on the contract, it was stated it was 10%, and that number was accidentally put in as 20%, so when I added it up, it was incorrect. So that 43,448 should really be 21,724 to make 10%, which lowers the amount of the contract by $21,724, making it $238,964, not $260,668.
Yes.
So it's just amending the amount of the contingency.
Yep, so to confirm, that's just the contingency budget. That's the potential overage.
And it went down. Yeah.
And it went down.
Yeah,
It went in our
down is
favor.
good.
It is. So, Commission, I would entertain a motion to amend the contract for 125 South Meridian Street to a total not to exceed $238,964, if you guys so choose.
I do have one more thing to say on that. When the discussion was taking place, it said not to exceed, but the motion that was made did not say motion, or not, the motion did not say not to exceed. So if you want to put that in, that's fine, I think, as long as it's okay, but it wasn't in there before.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So the grand total would actually drop to the $238,964.
So we need a motion.
We do not yet have a motion.
I move that we make the adjustments as presented.
All right, so that would be a motion to amend the contract for 125 South Meridian Street to a total of $238,964 made by Dr. Taylor. And do we have a second?
Second.
Second down here. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Tanya.
Thank you.
And with that, I don't believe I have anything else under Old Business, Commission. None as well, so we will move on to our new business. And first up tonight is going to be a presentation from our Waterford Residential Tax Increment Financing District. So this will be a discussion with Mr. Steve Hinkey. Thank you.
I have two. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Steve Hinkey. I'm president of Hinkey Development.
This is the first time I think I've ever made a presentation through a mask, so hopefully, hopefully you can hear me, and if not, I'll certainly repeat what I can. I thought it might take just a minute or two to tell you just a little bit about Hinkey Development. We've made presentations here, going through all the zoning process with a number of you, but I just want to bring you up to date on that. Hinkey Development has been in business developing real estate for almost 40 years. I developed real estate in Carmel in the 80s, practiced law for 20 plus years in Carmel, and then in the late 90s went up counsel to the firm and began doing all development. One of the first major developments was the Bridgewater Club. You see the picture on the wall there. That's the 65,000 square foot clubhouse, some of the homes there, as well as the golf course. It was a mixed use golf course community. The Bridgewater Club was one of the first forays into Westfield. People said no one would cross 146th Street and spend that kind of money, but we were able to create all the amenities and create a destination so that people would come over there. That now is about a $650 million assessed value development with the multifamily, as well as the residential and the commercial. Following that, Westfield hired us to develop Graham Park. Probably most of you have been to Graham Park or have kids or grandkids that have played there. It's about 56 fields, soccer and baseball, large football, largest youth sports complex in the world. So that was about a 3 or 4 year development, brought all types of economic development to Westfield. We began developing Grand Park Village, which is on the south side of Grand Park, and we had the Cambria Suites Hotel that we brought in. We had the McDonald's, the Taco Bell, Dairy Queen, those type of restaurants going in. We now have apartment complex. We have about a $16 million Wellbrook assisted living facility, as well as pet surgery centers and Primrose. All of that has now been expansion economic activity as a result of Graham Park. In addition to Graham Park, we began acquiring ground for Chatham Hills. Chatham Hills is a residential development in Westfield, and north side of Westfield. That too is about a 700-acre development and will be approximately 700 million in assessed value. We're already probably at 350 million in assessed value, and just began that a few years ago. So that development is going very, very strong, very upscale. Probably average home price in that's about $900,000. The average home price in Bridgewater probably $850,000. Following that, we then acquired land in Zionsville. A lot of you are probably familiar with that on 421. We just hosted the Homerama. I think that's our third Homerama that the Indianapolis Builders Association asked us to host. And we had about 12 or 13,000 people, strict protocols, masks, everything else. But Holiday Farms is, again, a mixed-use development, a commercial village center along 421, and then there's approximately 500 residences, as well as a Pete Dye designed golf course there. So that is under construction. I certainly welcome you anytime to drive in through the development, or be glad to give you a tour of it. So following that, then, we became aware of ground in Lebanon here to acquire. It became on the market. We worked for many, many months to try and put something together on it. We were fortunate to obtain this property. Originally, we acquired about 1,740 acres from two farmers. Following that, we then acquired another 350 acres, and more recently, in the lower right-hand corner of your picture there, where you see the green area, just on the north side of Perryworth Elementary, we were able to get under contract another 60 acres. Since we then took this through zoning, and we received a unanimous approval from the City Council, we received unanimous approval from the Plan Commission. We took it through in 2 stages because of the annexation portion of it. This will be a mixed-use golf course community. This will set the bar, set the standard in Lebanon for upscale quality development. To do this, we have to create a destination.
just as we did in Westfield. And by doing that, we create all these amenities that no one else can really match. It's something that everybody wants to come to, everybody wants to be a part of. And with COVID today, we're finding an even increased opportunity to do that because people want to stay closer to home. They want to get on their golf cart, they want to go to the club, they want to have these amenities. We'll have pickleball courts, tennis courts, indoor fitness center, indoor pool, outdoor pool, all those different facilities, parks, trails, golf course, 18-hole championship golf course. We're already working on the design on that and doing a 9-hole par 3 course in addition to that. The 60 acres we just recently acquired allows us to enter this property farther to the south. The more we can enter it to the south, we think the quicker the development will go. There are various components of it. We're really designing and building a community within a community. We have the interconnectivity of trails. There's the main Big 4 trail will go right through the property. Same thing at Holiday, same thing at Chatham. Chatham, we had the MoDOT. We then ended up having interconnectivity between various neighborhoods. It also allows us in purple there to actually have a village center. This village center would be on the water. We would have shops, restaurants, and so forth there, whereas the yellow area is much more of a commercial retail, the blue being more industrial. We're really excited about beginning the development of this. Obviously, one of the things that has come to our attention that would allow us to develop it much faster, much higher quality, is the recent statute enacted in Indiana, which is why we're here tonight, a residential TIF. We have attorneys here who can explain it better than I can, but basically it's designed by the legislature to encourage economic development, encourage investment in communities that are wanting to grow and expand. So the test is they take the 3-year average of new household, of new homes that people have moved into, and whatever that 3-year average is, and here you'd be using 17, 18, and 19, and that's around 30, 35 new homes occupied each year. If that number is 1%, less than 1% of the total households in Lebanon, then it qualifies. And the total households in Lebanon, which can be supported by the town, is around 4,500. So we are under that. We're under that for this year. Now, what does that do? Again, the legislature came up with that. Richmond pushed that through. That was one of their big pushes. Newcastle's using it. Other communities are using it because it allows the developer to go in and get financing better, move forward faster, and build greater quality amenities in the development. You recover the infrastructure, or your infrastructure costs and other costs allowed by the legislature and by the statutes. So what it does, though, it enables us to go in and develop this at a faster pace. The more residents we can get in and higher quality homes will cover, the tax base. The schools is a huge part of this. We've met with the schools from the very beginning on this project, Dr. Nolan, and one of the things we're really doing is we will work out with the schools a win-win situation under this. The schools will end up getting more students, which is what the growth and development of a city needs. You look at Carmel, for instance, in the 60s. Nobody went to Carmel in the 60s because why would you go there? Schools were terrible. Our schools aren't terrible here, but the schools were bad. So what happens? All of a sudden, everybody has to go to North Central? No. Carmel grows in the 70s. Schools become great. Then in the 80s, it's like, don't go to Fishers. Then Fishers grows. Then the schools in Fishers, Helen Southeast, grow. Then in the 02, 03, Westfield, same thing. Why are you developing there? Because we're going to bring a whole new product that's going to raise the level, raise the bar for everybody there. And that's exactly what happened. Now, those schools also are great. And one of the big things with the schools is that it will attract, these type of community will attract businesses, executives, and greater opportunities, and will also keep students in the school. You won't have the situation where they start in the schools, they then transfer, to another school. So I think it's a real opportunity for us. There's the ground that we could also work with in the lower part of there on 146th Street. I know that the school, for future needs, is looking for additional properties. And that's something that we can work with him on in putting this all together. So, with that, we appreciate your consideration. The attorneys can certainly answer more. Hard to talk in this mask, but I appreciate all your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hankey. So with that, I'll open it up to the commission for any questions you may have. Do you have any more to your presentation this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Any questions for Steve? Want me to talk? Mr. President, Commission, there's the only ask here this evening, Mr. Hankey did a presentation, is really just to authorize this commission to have the mayor essentially work with Steve Hankey and his team to set up a public meeting that'll need to be noticed up. The notice will go out this week. The public meeting will be held at Perry Worth Elementary School the week in November 16th. And that is one of the prerequisites that needs to occur under this statute. And then there'll be some other preliminary matters that'll be behind the scenes working on the housing plan. And then the hope would be at the next meeting in November that there would be a declaratory resolution before this commission. And then assuming that process then would be very similar to what we've seen in other TIF type of presentation. So I think I don't know if there's any clarification from Steve or Lisa. Okay. Good. Dr.
Might add, thank you, Mr. Hankey. We appreciate your presentation. I would add simply for the commission's kind of historical background. When I came to Lebanon in 1995 as the middle school principal, Lebanon High School was larger than Zionsville High School, Fishers High School, Westfield High School, and today that cannot be said. The growth in those communities as related was incremental over several decades, but it related directly, in my opinion, to the availability of residential housing that was both desirable and sought after. So I can attest the fact that those school corporations around us have grown. I will also say that this is an excellent school corporation and will add dramatically to enticing any family to come to this community. But the growth factor is there and has been historically. Back in the day, we were a larger school corporation. So I can feel very comfortable in saying that I do believe increased residential availability of quality homes will increase our student population and in turn increase the quality of our community. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Anyone else with comments? Dick?
I guess,
Want to bring us down here?
You need two mics, Dick?
I need two mics.
Stereo?
You know me. I agree with everything Dr. Taylor just said, but I know this is relatively new, and it's been the first time it's ever been brought to us, and I haven't had any real chance to really understand how this whole thing works. So I was wondering if someone can explain the process, what we go through. I'm assuming that's Lisa's job. Okay.
Thank you, Dick. My name is Lisa Lee. I'm a partner with Ice Miller, specializing in the TIF area and municipal finance. Rob was correct when he said that basically the process is very, very much like the regular TIF process. So the state legislature really followed the whole declaratory resolution of this commission, go to the plan commission, then go to the city council, and they approve those documents as well. Then you send out an impact statement, have a public hearing of this body, have a confirmatory resolution, and that's really the same steps that you have in your normal TIF. You add the 30-day informational meeting to take public comment from the affected neighborhoods and from the taxing units and from the schools. So that's added to this. As far as how it works, again, very much like regular TIF. So anything that's already out there and assessed is a part of the base. And so each single-family home that is constructed would add to the incremental increase, and that's what would be multiplied by the tax rate, and that's what would become TIF revenue, just like in your normal commercial type of TIF. Same life of the area, 25 years. Same opportunity to pledge all or a portion, split the pledge so that some of it comes back to the commission, or you can allow some of that to flow through to the other taxing units. So you have the same exact opportunities with this program that you do with the regular TIF. They put it in the same statute. It's just its own section. So everything else in the TIF statute applies to this as well.
So the base would stay in the general fund?
Base would absolutely stay
And
in
the
the
new
general
increment will go into the TIF for that area?
exactly like regular
Okay.
TIF. It's just that you can actually capture single-family home increases in assessed value in
Okay.
this program.
Okay. I guess my next question then is how is this going to really benefit the owner, the builder, and so forth by us doing this?
How's this going to benefit them?
Yeah,
Well, it's going to help with their cost on the infrastructure and the amenities, so they would be able to, this is such a large development that it could take many, many, many years.
correct.
To build it all out. Any dollars that they can get from housing TIF to help with their infrastructure is going to help them put that money into the quality of the homes and the amenities and do them at a faster pace, which brings the benefits to the city and the schools at a faster pace than if it was a 10 to 12-year development.
Okay, so as it starts to grow then and build up some funding in the TIF, then the builder could come back to the RDC and ask for money from TIF to help with infrastructure?
What you would do, I think what you're going to find, and we want to definitely be up front here, we're just on a timing schedule because of the threshold, the 1%, because if we go past December 31st, now we have to go back and add 2020 and drop 2017 and do
Sure.
the whole calculation again. So what we're trying to do is, if you're interested in this program, try to get this area, start this process, get the area set up, then look at, would the city be willing, and I think, I know Steve's been talking with the mayor and with others, whether or not you would be willing to potentially pledge a portion of that housing TIF to some type of bond to assist the developer up front with those costs, so that he wouldn't be coming back annually for that. It would be like you would do for another commercial development that you want to provide some incentives to. You would issue bonds up front, payable from a pledge of a portion of that TIF, and then those bonds would get marketed, and those proceeds would be able to be used by the developer immediately upon closing. So that's how it gets the money there quicker. So it's not an annual come back. It's a one-time thing.
Okay.
I have a question about what you talked about, the assessed value. You said we get what's the ground out there now. Would that be based on a farm ground like it is now?
It would be, yes, because it would
Which
be
is about
January
zero.
1. It would be January 1 of 2020.
I mean, it's not very much, I wouldn't think, not for farm ground.
Right. Well, if the development doesn't occur, it won't be there either.
No, I understand that too,
But yeah, whatever's out there now would stay.
And just for clarification on that, that's funds that would go into the general fund.
Right.
So from a tax dollar standpoint, it's not necessarily a change in tax dollars, it's a change in the funds that they hit. So your general fund would continue to be what it is today. Any of those incremental finance taxes would then come into RDC,
Correct.
which allows the RDC to allocate the funding. So it's not like there's not tax dollars.
No, I
There's-
understand that. but
yeah,
it's not-
it's just in a different bucket.
It's not an elected official that's controlling. That's what I'm saying.
Still, it has RDC oversight rather than council oversight.
Right,
Correct.
but the RDC board is not elected, is what I'm saying.
Right, that's correct.
Huge difference.
So I think the major part of the discussion this evening is around this timing piece. One other piece of the legislation does require that the school district also have an input in it as well. So from a timing standpoint, the ask tonight is simply for allowing Mayor Gentry to do the public notices. It is not an affirmation of the TIF or anything along those lines. This simply allows us to advertise, given that it's a 30-day advertisement. If the commission so desires, we can add additional meetings for the commission to discuss what this looks like for the city, what it looks like for the commission. And I would definitely entertain those as options as well between now and the next meeting. Any other comments?
I think the only thing I would like to just get a better feel about is from our financial group, Baker and Tilly, I know they're going to provide an impact statement, I know all that comes, but I'd just like to know how that really is going to affect the city operations and so forth.
Right.
I understand exactly everything you said, Corey, and I understand, the taxes and so forth, but I just want to make sure that how that's going to be, everything's going to be affected to make sure that the city's going to be okay.
Right.
If we move, this is such a large operation.
And that's where we can work with Joe and Tanya and the mayor, and perhaps we can have Baker Tilly come in, have a conversation with us over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We can advertise our meeting ourselves. It would be a public meeting, obviously. It would be an additional meeting for the RDC.
Sure.
But I think that would be beneficial for us to, like you said, get our hands around it.
And if I might add something, I do believe the school has already requested, because Baker Tilly also represents the school, I believe. My understanding is they are already compiling financial information to show the actual impact, not just an impact statement like you see in the normal TIF, but actually get underneath the numbers and the assessed values and where they go and how this would impact it. So I think that Brian Colton and Emma Adlam are working on that.
That's correct. We actually had some information from them. We had a board work session last month where they presented some of the information, because this is obviously something new for school districts as well to consider. And a handful of districts, as shared by Mr. Hinkie, are in a position to be able to consider it. So we have pulled that together, and I've worked with Mayor's office about, working together, because we know that it's the same firm, Baker Tilly for us, and Baker Tilly for the city. We'll want that information. So I expect some additional updated information actually tomorrow from them, so I'll forward it on to Chairman, and then he can get it distributed to everyone.
Very cool.
And I understand that the school has to approve it before really, before
Correct.
we do,
Yeah, that
correct?
fits in the timeline of 2020 as well.
The RDC.
Well, I know we're
and
under
the
a
school.
gun here, I understand that.
Well, but yeah, we still have time to make good, solid decisions. That's why we're
Yeah.
starting it today versus at the next meeting, so.
Do we need to
Thank
make
you.
a motion or something to approve to ask the mayor and to schedule a meeting, public meeting of the RDC at the Perry Ward School?
Well,
No?
so it would actually be two separate, if I'm correct, Rob. So the first would be allowing the mayor to put together the public hearing, correct?
Yeah, the ask would really be for the RDC to authorize the mayor to establish the public meeting at Perry Worth Elementary the week of November 16th, and the mayor would work with Steve Henke and his team and the legal teams to get the requisite notices that are required for that. to the extent, as Corey was indicated, to the extent the RDC would like to meet before its next public meeting, that would be separate. But
Right.
certainly,
Right.
if you want to do that, we could do that too.
Yeah.
We do need
So let's first entertain the motion on the public hearing, public meeting.
I'll entertain a motion to request the mayor to work with Steve Hinkey to set a public meeting of the RDC at Perry Worth School. First time is convenient for everyone.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. With that, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. If you'd like, Dick, we can place a motion on the table regarding an additional meeting prior to our next regularly scheduled meeting. We can simply make a motion of arranging it with.
Well, I don't know what everybody's
on
time
Baker
schedules
Tilly.
are. You know,
Do we need a motion to add one?
we have to advertise for it.
Okay. As long as we advertise it,
Yeah.
correct?
We have to have 10 days, right, notice?
We have information coming from the school on Baker Tilly.
Oh, yeah, we can have
Can we take
information
that
meeting.
and look at that? I mean, that might be something we can review independently, and then if we have desire for a meeting, then we can advertise and host a meeting. I think I would take advantage of what the school's doing. And that'll give us some preliminary information, and then, we can make a decision based on that. That would
Okay.
be my suggestion at this
Yep.
point.
Absolutely.
Not that I don't love meetings, Corey.
And Rob has
That's another
indicated we don't need a motion, so if we do decide to have an additional meeting, as long as we work with city staff to get us notice, we'll be in good shape. All right? Awesome. I think that concludes. Mr. Hankey, thank you very much. Lisa, thank you as well. All right, on to our next business. We are going to be discussing a declaratory resolution for a company, New Cold, and I believe Molly Whitehead from the Boone EDC is here to present some information.
Good evening, Molly Whitehead, Executive Director of the Boone EDC. As Corey mentioned, this company is New Cold. Please understand this is still what we would consider a prospect. This company has not made any final decisions about the city of Lebanon. However, due to the timing of this project, it is necessary to continue moving forward in good faith on this particular project. This particular project we've actually been working on since summer of 2019, so this has been around for quite some time. It is still a very competitive project for the city of Lebanon. With this, it'll be a highly automated, or is anticipated to be a highly automated facility, would be in the Lebanon Business Park in the kind of very back corner of it. And we anticipate more than 100 jobs with this at above average wages for Boone County, and it's an investment in excess of $100 million. So it's a very exciting project for the city, and I'll let Rob kind of go through the details of what's in the declaratory resolution, but I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the project itself.
Any questions from the commission? Very good. Rob, if you would read in the declaratory resolution.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Commission, so, and Tanya, I don't know that I have the exact resolution number on that came.
2020-04.
Okay, so this, for the record, this would be Resolution 2020-04. This is a resolution that amends the declaratory resolution for the Lebanon Consolidated Economic Development Area. So as you may recall, on October 9th, 2017, this commission adopted amended declaratory resolution 2017-05, the declaratory resolution, which did, among other matters, expanded the Lebanon Industrial Park development area. It also consolidated the industrial park development area as expanded, the Downtown Economic Development Area, the DA Lubricant Economic Development Area, the Lebanon Business Park Building Number 11 Economic Development Area, and the Lebanon FiberNet Economic Development Area, as well as State Road 32 Economic Development Area, and all that was consolidated into the Lebanon Consolidated Economic Development Area. It also consolidated those economic development plans. Then on May 14th of 2018, this commission amended its declaratory resolution and consolidated plan to remove certain parcels from the 2017 expansion area, and it designated those parcels in a separate allocation area. So this resolution would further amend the declaratory resolution and consolidated plan, and it would remove the parcel that's identified on Exhibit A that Ms. Whitehead was talking about, and that would be remove it from the 2017 expansion allocation area and designate the parcel identified in Exhibit A as a separate allocation area pursuant to the Act, and that would be called the New Cold Allocation Area. It would also adopt a supplemental consolidated plan that would be, which is attached in Exhibit B. And this then contains several legal provisions, but the critical pieces are that this resolution finds that it will be a public utility and benefit to amend the declaratory resolution and the consolidated plan as provided in these 2020 amendments, and to continue to develop the consolidated area, including the new cold allocation area. The declaratory resolution and the consolidated plan as amended by this resolution conform to the comprehensive plan of development for the city. The 2020 amendments are reasonable and appropriate when considered in relation to the declaratory resolution and consolidated plan. And these findings and determinations set forth in this resolution and plan are hereby reaffirmed. In support of the findings set forth in sections 1 through 4 above, this commission would adopt the specific findings set forth in this 2020 plan supplement, and this commission does not now propose to acquire any specified parcel of land or interest in land within the boundaries of the new cold allocation area. The commission finds that no residents of the consolidated area will be displaced by the project resulting from the 2020 plan supplement, and that these amendments are hereby approved in all respect. And again, the area described in Exhibit A would be removed from the 2017 allocation area and deemed a separate allocation area pursuant to the Act, and that's going to be known as New Cold Allocation Area. The commission hereby finds that the adoption of the foregoing provisions will result in new property taxes in the new cold allocation area that would not have been granted but for the adoption of these provisions and the findings set forth in Exhibit B. The allocation provisions relating to the new cold allocation area shall expire on the date which is 25 years after the date on which the first obligation is incurred to pay principal and interest. And this commission designates New Cold USA Number 3 LLC the company, and its successors and assigns and any affiliates of the company and equipment lessors of the company, each as designated taxpayers for purposes of the Act, and the taxes to be derived from the depreciable personal property to be located in the new cold allocation area in excess of the taxes attributable to the base assessed value of such personal property are needed to pay debt service or to provide security for bonds issued or to be issued under the Act. The designated taxpayer's property in the new cold allocation area consists primarily of industrial, manufacturing, warehousing, research and development, processing, distribution, or transportation related to projects. The designated taxpayer's property in the new cold allocation area does not consist primarily of retail, commercial, or residential projects. And the commission directs the presiding officer to notify the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance of the designation of the new cold allocation area, and is also authorized and directed to submit this resolution to the City of Lebanon's Plan Commission for its approval. Following receipt of the written order of the approval of the Plan Commission and approval of such order by this city's common council. This commission also directs presiding officer to publish notice of the adoption and substance of this resolution in accordance with Indiana law, as well to file notice to the Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Building Commissioner, or any other departments or agencies of the city concerned with unit planning or zoning or land use or issuance of building permits. It also authorizes the officer to cause to be prepared a statement disclosing the impact of the new cold allocation area, including estimated economic benefit and costs incurred by new cold allocation area as measured by increased employment, anticipated growth of real property, personal property, and assessed values, as well as anticipated impact on tax revenues of each taxing unit that is either wholly or partially located within the new cold allocation area. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption by this commission. Mouthful.
So with that, I would entertain a motion only if you can directly recite verbatim what Rob just said. Or you can move on Resolution 2020-04, declaratory resolution.
And if I may, Mr. President, Commission, I just would like to add, again, Exhibit B, and as Molly Whitehead discussed, the total cost of this project is estimated to be at least $150 million, with at least $10 million inclusive of financing cost that would be looked at to be funded, perhaps going down the road from the commission. And it would be, again, New Cold USA 3 LLC would be the name of the company. The project would employ, as Ms. Whitehead indicated, 100 to 150 employees at an average wage of $30 per hour.
All right. So before us, we have declaratory resolution 2020-04. I'd entertain a motion.
My turn.
It's possibly your turn.
Is possibly. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the resolution 2020-04 as eloquently presented to the commission.
Got a motion to adopt, and looking for a second?
Second.
Dr. Taylor with a second. So all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Molly, thank you very much for being here tonight. I know we were fairly quiet while you were at the stand, but I think that it's very important for us to understand the investment that's happening in the city of Lebanon. When you look at our business park and we look through what the economy has gone through this year, what we could potentially be going through next year, to see continued expansion and expansion in industries that you would consider recession-proof is very, very exciting. So great job with the Boone EDC. We love the partnership with you guys. Mayor Gentry, to you as well. So thank you. Absolutely. Come on up.
One comment, going back to Mr. Hinkey's presentation, something for you all to consider. With this particular project, assuming it does go through, we are out of land in the Lebanon Business Park. So the fact that we have potential for additional industrial and commercial growth in the Lebanon area is definitely very, very appealing to us. And also on that front, understand that we are working towards other solutions as well for the area. But please do keep that in mind as you're considering, that housing TIF, because that area is incredibly important to us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Molly. Appreciate it. All right, next up on the agenda, we have the Business Park Trail Planning presentation, and I believe we have Mr. Riemenschneider.
Thank you, President Coots. My name is Ken Riemenschneider, and I am here with Brandon Trigg, my associate. While Brandon gets set up for our presentation, just like to talk a little bit about the plan that we've been working on for connectivity, trails, and greenways within your business park. These kind of investments are Oh, here we go. Brendan's already up and running. Right. So these kind of investments are the type of investments that will add to the placemaking amenities that you have in your community. So we had the privilege of working on your downtown redevelopment plan and working on the urban trail, which goes now from downtown Lebanon out to the Big Four Trail. You'll notice that on the photograph we have for the draft plan, we have the Sam Ralston trailhead shown. That's not necessarily in your business park, but one of the opportunities we see here is that in this business park plan, you will see that we have two different alternatives to be able to connect directly to the Big Four Trail, which then would allow residents within the city of Lebanon to actually bike to work within the business park. And we do know that there are a fair number of people who work in the business park who don't necessarily live here in Lebanon. And so these kind of improvements can be effective in attracting people to consider moving to the city of Lebanon. So we began this effort in May, and we've had a steering committee providing us with guidance. We also have had the opportunity to engage with property owners, business owners within the Lebanon Business Park, and have reviewed with them some of the plans you're going to see here tonight. We got very positive feedback from them and encouragement from them that this would help them be able to retain and attract talent to their businesses, which all businesses need in order to be successful. So where we are tonight, we are actually in October, so we're at the end of the schedule here. We're very close to producing a draft plan, which will be sent out to the city and distributed among you all for your review and comment before we go to the final report. And tonight we thought it would make sense to give you an update on where we are. So some of the things that we're considering in doing this work, I mean, we obviously look at the physical conditions within the business park. We do have some challenges there, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. How do we do the trail design and address drainage issues? We have to pay attention to safety and security. What kind of amenities might we propose? How can we bring the Lebanon Trails brand to the business park so that we maintain that consistency on those placemaking amenities that Lebanon has been developing? And then, looking at, connectivity to lodging and other destinations. And that just improves the efficacy of the system. We also will be looking at design guidelines and standards and developing those. We're going to go through a few of those tonight. Here we have an example of a plan we did in Pendleton where, we looked at the various routes and the phasing of those routes and then prioritized those with input from the steering committee and town staff. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brandon to talk about conceptual design.
Thanks, Ken. I'm Brandon Schregg with Kinley Horn. Very happy to be here tonight. Thank you for your time. I'm going to run through kind of quickly what we've studied to date, and then definitely interested in all your feedback. So obviously we looked at the businesses in the park and tried to understand, where some of the larger concentrations of employment are as we start to think about putting pedestrian facilities, bike facilities near these employment areas. The study area, as you can see in yellow, it surrounds the entire business park, but then also jumps over 65 and then catches the Subaru facility to the east there as well. So kind of one of the things that we heard, I believe, when we were here talking about getting started was let's make sure we also think about the opposite side of 65 as well, and that very critical connection to the rest of the community as well. So in doing that, the draft plan kind of up on the screen, kind of before you here, has been massaged a bit over time through conversations with the steering committee, through field work and actually being on site and saying, well, does that work there? Or maybe it should go over here. Again, that kind of concentration of employment areas as well, so we can reach, the majority of the business park workers. So in general, Enterprise Drive kind of runs on my cursor here, kind of runs down, just to get everybody sort of oriented. I'm sorry, Enterprise Boulevard. Coming down here to 39, and then obviously 32 is up here at the top. North is up on this particular scheme. So basically, we're looking at a spine network on Enterprise Boulevard on both the kind of towards the north side. We're more on the east side of Enterprise, and then we're on the north side of Enterprise here until you get to Mount Zion. And then once that happens, we switch over to the south and the west side of Enterprise. So just kind of looking at the existing conditions out there, what made the most sense from a physical standpoint as putting in a 10-foot wide trail with the appropriate clearances on either side, and then thinking about the drainage patterns and everything else that you need to accommodate when you would actually build a side path or a trail next to a street. So that's the spine of the network. As Ken mentioned earlier, kind of connecting back to the Big Four Trail, pretty important. We found that to be important as well. So as you come out of the downtown and as you come up Sam Ralston, the trailhead we first had on the picture there. So this blue line connects to Sam Ralston trailhead there by the Menards, and it comes down, hits a stoplight, and then goes over 65 in that location. So a couple things we talked about with the crossing 65. One, there's a nice bridge there with wide shoulders on 32. So maybe there's ways that could be renovated, and we could think through that. Another option would be a pedestrian bridge spanning 65 at that location. So being kind of more of a higher level planning study, what we're doing is we're outlining and detailing kind of both of those options in this plan. So the other connection to the Big Four would be going up Sanitary Ditch within the easement, the surveyor's easement through there, and then connecting to the Big Four at that location. So that's kind of some of the stuff going on the north side. As we look at the hospitality loop, is kind of what we're calling that. So we're trying to connect to the business park to the hospitality quadrant there at the 32 interchange, where you have several hotels and you've got restaurants and the like up there, some retail businesses. So being able to connect that down to Mount Zion and kind of down to these central amenity areas that we have designed that we can go through here in a second. That concept has taken some traction, and it definitely might be more of a pilot project piece of the study here. If we were to think about implementation down the road, that kind of seems to be a nice place to start. Also, another place to start would be on Mount Zion, heading down to the facility over here by 65. So heavily trafficked area, a lot of employment over there. Other concepts that we had were kind of going down and catching kind of the Ken's Foods area of the business park, so going down to Edwards Drive. And as we get through this area of the business park, shoulders are flatter, a little bit more easy to put in a paved trail system through that location. Also picking up on the concept of, wouldn't it be nice to have a loop trail system around the regional detention area in progress. So just kind of thinking about how that would all work. We do have a couple of trailheads kind of allocated in the plan as well. So one is down in the regional detention area proposed, and then up at where the Black Box Theater, the retail component up there, maybe we could take a section of the parking lot, of the back of the parking lot there, and kind of make that available for trailhead users. Other quick kind of concepts here, again, using the spine network on Enterprise to go down. We do have the railroad treatment that would need to be figured out in more detail. But, definitely identifying we do have a railroad that we're asking pedestrians to cross at that location. on 39, using the existing bridge and the wider sidewalks that are on the bridge there on the 39 bridge over 65. So maybe there's opportunity to use that. And then that takes us over to East Street for your bicycle boulevard. They could kind of connect up into the downtown, or also over to the Subaru area, as well as the Abner Longley Park. So a real broad brush, quick kind of run through of what the plan entails, but that's some of the things that we've looked at. Kind of just moving forward, some of these conditions that we do have on the side of Enterprise, for example, we've looked at how do you fit that 10-foot wide trail with the clearance zones in there, where you have a swale, where you have a hill, whether you have flat ground, or the worst kind of possible scenario where you would have a pretty heavy steep ditch. So you do have that condition in a couple areas out there. The plan tries to pick the other side of the street, if you will, so we don't need to do that, but it being a kind of a high-level planning study, thought it might be nice to have kind of what that concept would look like if you had to go that route. I mentioned the central amenity areas. We have two different concepts on those. And again, those are centrally located, and the idea is they're kind of the hub of the pedestrian bicycle network. One thought that we had was, food trucks could be here during lunchtime, and it could also just be a nice gathering spot and quality of life piece in the business park. So this is the common area that exists today. Some of the parts and pieces of this are more of a trailhead. Maybe there's a pavilion, a covered pavilion. Also thinking about maybe team building activities that could happen with the corporations in the business park. Then a loop trail network. There's some opportunity for benches and bike racks and that as well. The other option is the triangular piece that's at Mountain Zion and Enterprise. And this is a graphic, a quick concept just to show what could happen on that property. That is private property at the moment. We're just kind of dreaming and sort of looking and planning what could happen there. So, again, some organizing elements with the trail. Maybe this particular facility has a public restroom building. Again, maybe a larger trailhead that could happen there. A playground, as this starts to develop into a trail system for the community to use in general. Maybe there's actually some playground structures there as well. So a couple different thoughts going on here, again, conceptual. Part of the wayfinding scheme, I won't get into all the details on this, but basically we're looking at, the trail network that we kind of walk through there. And what happens when you're at certain decision points, and where would some of the already nicely branded facility or signage that was created a few years back, how could we utilize that for the city of Lebanon, and very similar to the Big Four kind of signage that you see on that trail. Real quickly, just, other thing that we're trying to do here is set the design standards and look for the amenities that you all have around town. So obviously the downtown has a presence, it has a style unto itself. Picking some of the bike racks, for example, in that particular facility, in that location, and using those out on the trail network that's in the business park as well. Same thing with the trash receptacles, benches, and then crosswalks. There's different items and ways that we could go about having that. It usually depends on the level of traffic that happens at that area where the pedestrian or the bicyclist is crossing, so different visibility levels. Trail pavement, we're essentially talking about an asphalt trail, but at some key locations, maybe replicating some of the downtown sort of pavers and that urban trail kind of network that happens downtown. So, again, kind of pulling some of the design and the standards that happen downtown out into the community. And then in general, thinking about using a trail system, shade, very important in the summertime. So anywhere where we can put in shade trees, and then, drinking fountains, that sort of thing, some of those hospitality sort of items, we'd like to do that. So that in general is kind of what we had to walk through this evening, but definitely interested in any questions or comments.
Any questions from the commission this evening? I will make one comment. I think as you look at the business park again and what it's doing out there for us, you can kind of serve two purposes with this trail system. Number one is the just functionality of it, getting folks into their workplace. But number two, we can really add to our existing park system in a position in the town that we don't necessarily have that. So we're not under-parked. We have plenty of park land. But when you look at where those parks are positioned, this gives you a different access point to those folks. So kind of hit a couple of different topics with it. Any comments from the public? Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for the presentation. Look forward to what next steps may look like for us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up on the agenda, we have our friends from the school corporation, our workforce coordinating progress report. We'll let them get themselves set up here.
You guys, all the questions.
Well, maybe.
You guys have a whole nother meeting to go through.
He's already signed it.
And what better way to segue from the business park than to talk about our career engagement?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm excited to be here this evening. If you recall, the last time I joined you was in March of 2019, prior to COVID, and was scheduled to come back last spring, but unfortunately was not able to. So excited to come back this fall and be able to provide a program update and where we are as we enter and are in the midst of year 6 with the program. So, as a timeline of events to kind of share with you where we were in 2019-20 to where we are currently. In 2019-20, we were excited that we had the ability with the growth to bring on an individual to work with me part-time in the mornings. With me this evening is Mr. Aaron Vaughn. Aaron is preparing for college and careers and digital citizenship teacher in the afternoons at Lebanon Middle School. So he works with our 8th graders first semester and our 6th graders during 2nd semester. Then in the mornings, he works with me to help with the visits and meeting with our kids and getting out to our community partners. So it's been a great addition as we continue to grow. During the 2019-20 school year, we also were excited that we got to work with Butler University to make our cadet teaching program a dual credit opportunity for our students. This year, here in a minute, I'll share some numbers, but we have 16 students that are enrolled in our cadet teaching program, so students that want to go on and further their education and get back into the classroom. And out of that 16, 8 of those students are actually working towards the dual credit piece that they'll be able to take on with them after they leave our school. In addition then, last year was the first year for the Precision Machining program, Precision Machining 2 program. So that second year of students. So we had 2 students that were in the program last year, and then here in a minute, like I'll share you with the course numbers, we had 4 this year, so that continues to grow. Now currently, in the 2021 school year, we have put the Health Science CNA program on pause due to course enrollment, but also then the pandemic, and that's of course still lingering on throughout and impacting programs such as that. We are excited as we geared up for this school year. We had 58 students actually apply to be in the program. Based on the situation, we were able to get 38 of those students placed throughout our community, which is very, very exciting. And in addition, we were able to add 8 brand new partners to our list. So that brings us up to about 83 different businesses within our community that we have worked with since the inception of the internship program in 2016.
Wow.
On the screen in front of you, you'll also notice the same course numbers that I brought to you in 2019. I've added in the past 2 years. These are the courses that offer our students capstone experiences at the high school level. So we have our building trades program, health science CNA nursing program, along with our health science education program that's a 3-year program. In addition, I've added the 2 new courses to bring us up to approximately 115 kids that are participating in capstone experiences this year through Lebanon High School. When we drill down the numbers, you're able to see with our internship program in the 2016-17 school year, we started off with 29 students that were interning in our community. You can see that the growth has continued, and this year we have 54 students that we're working with. When we initially started off in 2016-17, that number of 29 also included those students that were interested in education. So those students were going out and interning within our school buildings, but a part of the work-based learning course. Since then, with the growth, we've been able to add that partnership that I mentioned and split off and have the 2 courses, which obviously has allowed that curriculum for those students to become more engaged in what they're wanting to do in the future. So that really brings our number from 29 in 2016 up to 54 this year as a total number of interns. So as we look ahead, 4 big things that we're looking at this year and moving into the next school year is we're really wanting to collaborate with the professionals to host career conversations. With the factors that we've learned and how we can work remotely and engage with people throughout the community and then also throughout the nation, we're really wanting to bring in those professionals and offer 15-minute career conversation videos that are then allowed to be shared with our students for those students to engage with former alumni that might be working in South Carolina or in California to basically bring back that expertise into our community and allow our students to see the types of professions that are available. In addition, I mentioned we have 83 partners that we've worked with throughout these years. Our goal is to continue to work to re-engage with those partners because there are some partners that we have not had interns with or been engaged with in the last few years that we want to really work to increase that connectivity and those opportunities with them. In addition, we're going to be working to create a promotional video that we can send out to the business and industry and the employers and educate not only our students but our parents about the opportunities. So tonight, to be able to share a little bit of a testimony of the program and the classes and what's offered to the students, we have 3 students that are joining us. We have Kinsey Hale, who I'll introduce first. Kinsey was a member of the Health Science CNA program last year. So as a junior, she earned her CNA certification and spent second semester in time working at Homewood Healthcare here in Lebanon. Has came back this year as an intern where she is still working at Homewood Healthcare and actually starts tomorrow as a part-time employee at Homewood Healthcare where she'll be working and continuing. And then Kinsey will be graduating here in December, so she's a mid-year grad. So I'm going to let her share a little bit about her story.
Awesome.
Kinsey?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kinsey Hale, and preferably Nurse Kinsey in the future. A little background information. As I grew older, I grew up around a bunch of nurses, and that's when I realized my career would begin. To start my career, I began talking to my counselor, and she recommended work-based learning, also known as CNA at Homewood Health Campus. It struck out to me because I loved helping others when in need. And as I continued my internship at Homewood, I came to the conclusion most residents don't see their family, and I felt like I was that alternative feeling that most residents didn't have with their families. The days I proceeded at Homewood, I bring in some new things for my career options. One thing that I am determined to do is to better understand the residents and their daily lives. When I visit each resident, they all have different personalities. They're all bubbly, they're fun, and the joyful smiles impact my life greatly. Feeling like I give them happiness not only makes me happy, but like gives me wholesome. I've been in the CNA class for a year, like Ms. Scott has said, and I have gained a tremendous amount of experience and can't wait to grow more in my field. I'm very determined to have a lot of responsibilities, and having my CNA license for a year has made it easier to gain a job at Homewood, like, again, Ms. Scott said. But if I continue this job for at least 6 months, they agreed to pay for 100% of my college, which is huge. But there are also so many more benefits, like if I wanted to go out of state and I could transfer over to a different campus, like Trilogy is what they're partnered with. If I transferred to Trilogy in a different state and I stuck there, they would still pay for an out-of-state college. But for my future plans, I've decided to go to Ivy Tech for my first year and get my core classes out of the way, and then transfer to IUPUI to finish my nursing degree.
Awesome. Thank you.
Outstanding.
Next up, we have Senior Lucas Mishner. Lucas is a cadet teacher, and he'll share a little bit about his experience at Harney in a 5th grade classroom.
First of all, I want to point out, Mom, look, I told you I'd be on TV someday. I'm Lucas Mitchner. I'm a senior LHS. I'm currently enrolled in the cadet teaching program. So twice a week, I'll go down to Harney, help out with mainly 5th grade kids. Sometimes I will work with 4th grade kids across the hall. We're actually working on a hydraulics project right now, which is just as much fun for me as it is for them. But yeah, I kind of sit in, take note, what the teacher's doing, what the kids are doing, what I can do. I show up on math days, so fortunately I'm a little bit better in math than most other subjects, so that definitely helps. But I was actually with them today, you can tell by my dyed hands. But yeah, it's given me a different perspective on how to handle kids and approach kids and their rowdiness and, get them to better understand something that they don't yet understand. I recently just got accepted into Ball State, which is where I want to go for elementary education and special needs education. So this experience will definitely put me way ahead of the curve when I get there. So that's all I got. Thank you for your time. Excellent.
Last but not least is junior Cade Morton. Cade is a first-year student in the Precision Machining program at the Gene Haas Center out by Taco Bell.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Cade Morton. I'm enrolled in Precision Machining at Gene Haas Training Center. I originally enrolled in this course because I had some friends that took it. They said it's a great class, just learn experience on how to machine and stuff. I just thought it wasn't going to be anything serious, wasn't going to take it too seriously. But now that I'm actually in it, I'm learning how to be precise machining, and I'm learning so many different things, using how to measurements, all different types of math. It's insane. I never thought I'd be doing this stuff in my life, and now I'm actually looking into going into Vincennes for machining and getting into the trades for this, so it can really take you a long way in life. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So to wrap up, hopefully you guys have seen obviously the value that these 3 students have received from the program and throughout the years. It's exciting to follow their stories and continue to hear about their experiences. It's definitely a highlight when I get to go out and visit and see the students at all their placement sites. One thing that we've really worked to do is to try to document this on social media, so make sure that you follow us at Tiger Careers to learn more and to see where all we're partnered at. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you so very much. I think you have some commission members that would like to make some comment.
Thank you.
I'll just speak on behalf of Mr. Campbell.
Me too, Dr. Taylor. I was going to brag on my kids.
Well, I want to talk about Mr. Campbell. He's much closer to Homewood than he is cadet teaching, but I know he is just as proud of those 3 young men and women as we all are. So I got in there, Mr. Campbell, before you could, and I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you. It's all yours, sir.
No, it's hard not to be proud of those students and the hard work that's happening, especially amid the pandemic right now. Just the placements and the hard work Kristen's done and the kids have done, just a tremendous amount of work. That's about 10% of the high school population in her program. That's not insignificant, 10%. We have a lot of students who take multiple electives. They're not able to fit this type of program in. We have some kids who stumble along the way too, that aren't able to fit this program in. So that's a tremendous accomplishment, and thank you, young men and women. Now go home and study.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
I took the tour of the Vincennes facility, first time I'd ever been out there, and this was probably first of the year or something like that. And it was really interesting to see the amount of young people that were out there and learning something, and they put them together and said, all right, you got to make this, and they give them a start, and helped them get through and how to make that, and it was really kind of interesting, you know, and we just need more people learning that and how to do that, because those skills are still out there.
Right.
And there's a lot of place for those people that are not going to college, but there's a lot of place for out there to learn trades. Trades are a big thing right now, so.
And I'll tell you, kudos to the three of you as well. You know, I'm a hiring manager, and I just went through a hiring process where, you know, I'm interviewing adults that can't sit in a room with just me and have a conversation and articulate themselves, and you guys just did that in front of a room of, you know, 30 people. So huge kudos to you guys, your families, your support staff for what you've been able to accomplish so far, and keep on that path. You guys are doing awesome. It's really exciting to hear that 10% of the high school is engaged. When you look at, again, what the economy has done this year, and to continue this growth is absolutely awesome. So, huge kudos. And with that, I believe we are near the end of our agenda. I have one more item. Rumor has it we have to pay our bills around here, so I would entertain a motion to pay the claims.
So move.
We got a motion?
Second.
And a second from the end. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. And finally, Mr. Robertson, your favorite motion. We have a motion and
Second.
a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. We will see you at the next Redevelopment Commission meeting.
Yeah, John.